What if your best days aren't behind you? What if age isn't a limit, but a launch pad? Today we're tearing down the lie that you're too old to start over. This is your wake-up call, your permission to rise. But before we dive in, if you believe in growth, resilience, and rewriting your story, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss another video like this one. Let's build something extraordinary, together. Section 1. The illusion of finality. Is surrender truly the only path left? Not as long as even the faintest spark of possibility still flickers. I won't deny the weight of the odds, nor pretend that my position makes this choice easy. I'm not the person anyone would expect to rise again. My qualifications don't match the demands of the role, and I've long since crossed the line where most people give up. So go ahead, doubt me, dismiss me, suggest that I step aside. But understand this, the decision is mine, and mine alone. I've chosen to stand back up, regardless of what anyone else believes I should do. It's easy to laugh at someone chasing a dream they should have outgrown. Society's judgment is rarely subtle. The older you get, the more it expects you to settle. It whispers that risk is for the young, and that hope has a curfew. And maybe to some, my pursuit seems desperate or even delusional. But here's the truth most won't admit. I would rather face failure head-on than live shackled by the question of what if, this dream I'm chasing. It's not a fleeting fantasy. It's the part of me that refused to die, even when the world told me it should. When people say you're too old, what they really mean is they're too scared. Scared of change, scared of starting over, scared of admitting they quit on themselves too soon. It's not your years that intimidate them. It's your willingness to defy the script they've resigned themselves to. They've bought into the most poisonous myth ever sold, that your potential has an expiration date. But the truth? That date is fiction, written by those who stopped believing in their own. Every wrinkle, every scar, every failure, they're not signs of decline, they're battle honors. Proof that you've lived, learned, and endured. Age isn't a weight, it's a weapon. Experience sharpens your instincts. Time refines your judgment. And while the world may worship youthful energy, there's something far more powerful in seasoned conviction. Muhammad Ali once said, "He who is not courageous enough to take risks will accomplish nothing in life." That courage doesn't diminish with age, it deepens. Because when you've tasted comfort and still choose discomfort in the name of growth, that's not just bravery, it's mastery. Section 2. The cage. You built. The mind is a master manipulator. It doesn't need enemies to defeat you. It only needs your permission. It whispers convincing lies dressed as responsibility. You have bills now. You've built too much to start over. What if people laugh? These aren't truths. They're shackles. They're the velvet-lined excuses we forge in silence to avoid the discomfort of change. And we wear them like armor, all the while wondering why we feel so heavy. The most effective form of self-sabotage isn't loud. It's quiet, reasonable, comfortable. You won't find your limits inside a jail cell of steel. You'll find them inside the rituals that numb your ambition. The 9 to 5 you never questioned. The dream you shelved for next year. The fear of disappointing people who gave up on themselves long ago. We love to talk about freedom, but many of us have willingly locked ourselves in invisible cages, surrendering our futures in exchange for approval. The worst part, we've swallowed the key and convinced ourselves it was medicine. Each time you scroll past your goals and settle into the distraction of someday, you're laying another stone in the wall between who you are and who you could be. It's not the critics outside that will stop you. It's the whispers inside. This is good enough. It's too late now. Why bother? But understand this. The moments when you're most tempted to quit are exactly when the breakthrough is closest. That's the door, disguised as fatigue, dressed as doubt, and you must kick it open. David Goggins coined the 40% rule, a brutal reminder that when your body, your mind, and your soul are begging you to stop, you've barely scratched the surface of your potential. That remaining 60%, it's not hiding behind ease. It's hiding behind pain, behind repetition, behind the war inside your own mind. Most people will never touch it because they treat friction as a stop sign instead of a doorway. They never question the first draft of themselves life hands them. But growth is a second draft, rewritten in blood, sweat, and relentless truth. You think mastery arrives gift-wrapped? No, it's earned, one uncomfortable step at a time. Section 3. The price of waiting. Let's be clear, I didn't waltz into success. I failed more times than I care to count. While others talked, I moved. While they rationalized their comfort, I confronted my shortcomings. I signed up for the pain. I endured the ridicule. I felt the sting of rejection not once, but repeatedly. And still, I returned. Because every time I fell short, I saw it not as a verdict, but as a challenge. The path to greatness isn't paved with gold. It's carved through persistence. And while others were finding reasons to quit, I was busy finding reasons to rise. The fear of judgment is one of the most potent poisons to progress. What will they think? You know what? Let them think. Let them whisper. Because the truth is, most of those voices you're so afraid of have never done anything worth whispering about. They haven't bled for a dream. They haven't suffered through the silence that comes after failure. They haven't woken up at 4 a.m. to grind while the world slept. So why on earth would you hand over the steering wheel of your destiny to people who are parked on the sidelines? You must stop living for spectators. The world is packed with critics who mistake cynicism for wisdom. People who are loud about everything except their own lives. They will always have opinions, but opinions are cheap. Effort is not. You know how many people told Serena Williams she was done after an injury? How many told Morgan Freeman he was too old when he got his breakout role in his 50s? If they'd listened, we'd never know their names. And if I had listened, I'd still be washing the mud off someone else's legacy instead of building my own. People love to say, but it'll take years to get there. Of course it will. And those years are going to pass anyway. Whether you act or hesitate, time keeps marching. So ask yourself, in 5 years, do you want to be proud or do you want to be sorry? Do you want to be standing atop your dream or sitting in the same chair, telling yourself the same old story? That's what age gifts you. Perspective. The clarity that time is precious and that someday is a myth. Youth has energy, but age has urgency. And urgency beats potential every single time. Section 4. The fire that comes with time. When you're young, time feels like an endless river. You move through life believing every missed chance will come around again, that tomorrow is always waiting with open arms. But as the years stack up, reality steps in with a sharper edge. You start to realize that time isn't infinite. It's a currency, and you've already spent a lot of it. That naive comfort of later begins to fade, replaced by a deeper understanding. Now is all you really have. And that realization, that sacred urgency, isn't a curse. It's your competitive edge. There's a certain fire that only comes with time. It's the kind of fire that doesn't burn hot and fast, but steady and fierce. It's born from the awareness that life doesn't wait, that the clock doesn't stop ticking just because you're scared. That fire will drive you when inspiration is gone. It will fuel you when motivation fails. It will force you to choose progress over comfort, purpose over ease. This is the same fire that burned inside Kafka. He didn't pivot his life because the timing was perfect. He did it because the pain of staying the same had become unbearable. He knew he was made for more, and that knowledge alone wouldn't be enough. He had to act. That pain, the ache of unrealized potential, isn't something to run from. It's a compass. It tells you where to go next. Society loves neat blueprints for life. Follow the rules, keep your head down, retire quietly. But greatness doesn't show up on schedule. It doesn't knock politely at your door at 25 with a promotion in hand. It kicks down walls at 40. It whispers to you at midnight when you're 50. It shows up in your gut at 60 screaming, "You've still got more in you." The life you were meant for doesn't follow a syllabus. It demands that you listen when your heart starts to stir again. Look at the stories the world rarely tells. Ray Kroc took a modest burger stand and built an empire in his 50s. Vera Wang, once a figure skater, reinvented herself as a fashion icon at 40. Samuel L. Jackson battled addiction and rejection until he hit his stride at 43. Julia Child didn't become a culinary legend until she was nearly 50. Grandma Moses didn't even pick up a paintbrush until she was almost 80. And yet she created decades of art afterward. That's not coincidence. That's proof. Progress isn't a straight line. It's a spark waiting for the right moment to ignite. And when it does, everything you've ever learned becomes rocket fuel. You don't start from zero. You start from experience. Section 5. The mirror that matters. It's easy to feel behind, to look around and see people who seem miles ahead, running faster, climbing higher, winning louder. But here's the truth. Comparison is a liar. It's a thief that steals your focus, your peace, and your power. You don't know what page they started on, what shortcuts they had, what battles they hid. You're not late. You're not behind. You're right where your story begins, and your starting line isn't a weakness. It's a weapon because it's forged in clarity and hunger. And hunger beats entitlement every time. You see, when I stepped into my own battle, I didn't waste time measuring myself against veterans. What would that accomplish? My only goal was to become better than the man I was the day before. That was the fight that mattered. Because when you're chasing your own progress, you're always in control. You don't spiral into doubt. You don't stall out with insecurity. You just show up again and again, building momentum in silence. That's where real transformation lives. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows of your habits. Change isn't something that happens to you. It's something you build, brick by brick, choice by choice. Some days it's obvious, other days it's invisible. But every time you choose growth over comfort, every time you say yes to the harder path, you are evolving. And the moment you realize that your past limitations were just outdated beliefs, that the ceiling was never real, it changes everything. That's what happened to me. I didn't just become stronger physically. I rewired my identity. I stopped seeing limits and started seeing possibilities. Your breakthrough won't be cinematic. It won't be wrapped in applause. It'll come quietly, in the decision to keep going. It'll come in the discipline to rise when no one's watching. It'll come in the refusal to settle. Each morning is a chance to decide, do I wake up bound by who I've been, or do I rise as who I'm becoming? Do I wait for a perfect day that will never arrive, or do I claim the imperfect, glorious mess of today? The people who change their lives are the ones who stop waiting. They don't ask for permission, they give it to themselves, and they begin. Section 6. The legacy you choose to leave. When the curtain falls on your time here, what will your story be? Will it be the quiet tale of someone who lived cautiously, who folded when the stakes got high, who traded dreams for deadlines and purpose for predictability? Or will it be the legend of someone who stood tall in the face of fear, who tore up the script they were handed and rewrote it with their own fire? Legacy isn't built by accident. It's built by choice, by the daily decision to matter, to fight, to live beyond the lines. Your life isn't defined by what you've done. It's defined by what you choose to do next. The chapters you regret, they're not the whole book. The years you spent off track, they don't erase the pages you've yet to write. What matters is what you do after the moment you say, enough. That's where your story really begins. For me, it wasn't the time spent cleaning up other people's messes that shaped my legacy. It was the moment I decided that the mess wasn't the end. It was the moment I chose to rise. We've been sold a lie that dreams have expiration dates, that youth is the only valid currency of ambition. But death, not age, is the only real deadline. And if the clock is ticking either way, isn't the greater risk not going after the thing that keeps you awake at night? Isn't it far more dangerous to die full of potential than to live full of purpose? You're not running out of time. You're running out of excuses. Passion doesn't care how old you are. Greatness doesn't consult your resume. Fulfillment doesn't come with a retirement plan. It comes with doing the work you were meant to do. So let me ask you this, and I mean it. If not now, when? If not you, then who? The world has enough people who gave up. It has enough stories that end in regret. What it needs, what we all need, is one more voice that says, I'm not done yet. That proves what's possible when someone chooses faith over fear, action over hesitation, courage over comfort. Age is not the enemy. Doubt is. Your history doesn't determine your future. Your drive does. So stop waiting. Start writing. This is your moment. This is your legacy. Go earn it.